What's up, everybody?
What's going on, Seasoned family? How y'all doing?
What it
Welcome
do?
back.
What it
Welcome
do?
back.
Happy
We
Thursday.
we have a special treat for all of our seasoned family today. We got one of the originals in the house representing in the
Mm,
Seasoned AzF hat that we don't
yeah,
even
all
have.
day. All day.
See how
I tried to get him
see
to
how
you.
he come on. See how he come on here already doing a sermon. We
Yeah.
love it though.
Called
Welcome
and had
everybody.
it.
We have our brother QB Quincy Bonds with us today.
Yeah.
What's
Happy to
going
be
on,
here.
Quint? How you been, brother?
Man, just happy to be back. Man, just getting more and more seasoned every day. You already know.
Hey,
Season
that's
it doesn't go in reverse. So I'm getting more seasoned every day.
facts. Facts. Harmony, what
How y'all
about you?
been?
How you
What's up,
doing?
man?
What's happening? So good to have you back, fam.
Glad to be here.
All right. Well, we're going to jump on in. Skills, you want to tell us what we're talking about today? Then we're going to get to it.
Absolutely. We got some good juicy stuff for y'all today. And we know that everybody out there in the Seasons family needs this one today in their life. They need to know a way to navigate some of these personal relationships, business relationships, and otherwise. Even them family ones can be a little shaky at times. So
Most
Mhm.
what kind of boundaries and when do you know to set boundaries in your life with some of these relationships? That's what we're talking about today.
definitely.
All right. Good stuff. So I'm going to hop in. Fellas, can you tell me, because, oftentimes this can be different for the fellas and for the ladies. Like, at what age did you discover?
For me, I would say that was probably in my late 20s. I stopped dealing with some of the BS in my early 20s. Early to late 20s when I started setting those kind of boundaries and having that clear understanding like, some of these people are not going to get it unless you teach them. So you got to set them boundaries and got to figure out when to cut some people off and when some people doesn't when they don't understand boundaries, how they can no longer be your friend or no longer be a part of your life anymore.
Mm.
What about you, Q?
That was deep, man. I'll say that because I'm personally currently kind of going through a situation where I had a friend of mine, I'm talking about 25-year homie, somebody, that we ride, for 25 years and we've lost contact, and I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I can say things happened, things were said and things were done, but, I hate losing people. I'm one of those people, especially if you have a really good friend, like you kind of want to do everything you can to stay connected. But I feel like sometimes, unfortunately, I, I didn't think it would happen to me that I could lose such a close friend based on some things that I had to set some boundaries. I had to say no. I would say yes to everything until I almost got used up in the relationship. I felt like it was becoming one sided. I felt like, you ever have the situation where you tell yourself, why does it seem like the only way I communicate with this person is when I reach out to them? You ever had that relationship where you feel like if I didn't call you, we would never talk? And then I try to test it. Even though I know it's
Yeah.
probably right now it's gonna hurt me because they say the person who loves the hardest has the least amount of power. So I try to
Hmm.
test it. And I'll be like, man, I'm just not gonna call. And then we just not talking. So sometimes I fold, it just depends on if you going through things and it's heavier than, but I had to tell myself, don't just allow yourself to be treated any kind of way. You gotta have some type of reciprocation. And so for me, as far as boundaries go, I just never thought that it would affect me the way this last situation has. I thought I was immune to having to have those conversations. I'm one of those people that have been able to go through life sometimes without having to have the tough conversation with friends. Maybe in the workplace and other areas which we'll get to, I had but with friends, to lose people, and I was one of those people, maybe I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to cause a rift. So I could deal with it and I was okay with whatever was going on. But as of recently, it came to a head and I had to make some really hard decisions about. I feel like I could be friends with anybody. It depends on how close you bring them in. I feel like anybody can. You bring them in really close or you keep them at arm's length, but you can be friends with them. But I just had a situation recently where I think I'm actually lost a longtime friend because I had to finally set some boundaries. So it was kind of hard. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to joking my way through everything, and this was something serious that I couldn't joke my way out of. And so I just think that everybody has a different boiling point. They say that. I think maybe my threshold was a little bit longer because I gave grace and I've known this person so long that I allowed for certain things to happen when I probably should have nipped it in the bud. So it's kind of my fault, but that's what happened.
Well, good. Thank you for sharing, Q.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I look at that, I'm probably I'm not as lenient as you are, Q, because I don't see that as being a friendship when it's one sided. You know what I mean? And it's sad to say that, but you know what I mean. I don't think true friends will do you like that. I don't think true friends will make a friendship one sided, and you have to be the one reaching out all the time. You have to be the
Yeah.
one doing the. You have to be the one checking in, because to me, a true friend checks on you just like you check on them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've grown to learn, my boy. So that's why,
Correct.
it's definitely a hard pill to swallow. But now I'm looking for it. Now in my relationships moving forward, if I see something that I need to address, I'm not going to kind of be shy or coy about it. I'm going to address it, even if it's like something really serious. I can't joke my way out of everything. So,
Right. What
Well,
about
we
you?
all know, and all the viewers know that Skills has that good cutoff spirit. So, ain't nothing too
oh,
much
quick.
flying.
Look,
Quick, fast,
I thought
and a
he
hurry.
had brought me, he blocked me at one point. I was like, damn, still.
Not, it's not true. It's
But
not
for
true.
me, I'm probably a little more similar to Q when it comes to that. My first experience with like really having to set boundaries like that was similar in nature to what Q was describing. I was in my 30s and I was having the one-sided friendship situation. My childhood best friend, I was just like always there, showing up all the time, even when I didn't feel like it, even when I didn't want to, all the things. And then I started to notice that it wasn't the same on the other side. It was always me. I was always the one keeping us connected. I was always the one, keeping it together. And I just realized, I think that like a light bulb just went off one day and I was like, What? I think it was one too many things that, they didn't show up for. And I just was like, we're not doing this no more. I'm not doing this no more. And so I affectionately, if you happen to be watching ex childhood bestie, I affectionately gave them the the nickname of Ghost. So that is my nickname for them now. We joke about it, she knows what it means. And so anytime I call her, she's in my phone as Ghost because she pops in and out, what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. And then as far as relationships are concerned, it took me about another decade before I got it on that side. I had great relationships kind of through my teens and 20s and 30s. And it wasn't until like I hit my 40s that it changed for whatever reason. Like the relationships that I just had to really realize that there were certain boundaries that I had to set, certain questions I had to ask, certain things I had to be super adamant about if I was going to have the type of relationships that I want to have. And I'm not having any other kind except the kind that I want to have. And that took me a little longer till about my 40s. And as I'm into my 50s now, even though we were joking a little earlier about, the fact that the frivolous relationships that I could be having because I have the time, the space, the energy, the freedom to have them, it's just not what I want. So now the boundaries are there for I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what works for me. I know exactly what I need. And so I don't waste my time or anybody else's time on anything else than that. So that's it for me, fellas.
Well, that's good.
All righty.
Think you had
All
something
right.
for us
So,
next, too?
yeah, we're going to get into it, keep it moving. So to all my seasoned family out there, especially I know over 40 was our target, but in the workplace, kind of like the same question. How do you deal with knowing, even in this scary economy, in the scary times, when it's time for you to quit a job, whether you like the job or not, due to it could be the people in the workplace. I've been in toxic work environments before where I stayed longer than I should, and I'm sure we all have because I needed the funds. But
Right.
I'll start with you, Harmony. How do you deal with that element of having to work someplace, maybe that you're not as comfortable? How do you navigate through when it's time for you to say enough is enough? I gotta bail out.
Yeah, like you said, everything is situational and circumstantial. You have to always take into consideration like what stage of your life you're in. I know I spent the good majority of my like 20s and 30s kind of being in survival mode.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
was like a young mother. I had a child when I was 20, so I couldn't like just quit a job because I had a child to take care of, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's very situational and circumstantial, but I've never really been the type of person that would stay in an environment that I was uncomfortable with. I would bounce and figure that shit out later. That's just how it goes. But as I got older and now in this season age, I'm very, very particular. I've had the pleasure of being an entrepreneur for like 10 years, just an entrepreneur, not working and an entrepreneur. So when I worked for myself, I was extremely selective with who I worked with. Like I had the pleasure if it wasn't a good vibe, if it wasn't a good fit, then we weren't working together, period. Because I get to decide. Of course, it's a little different when you are a W-2 employee and you have to deal with lots of different personalities, your paycheck, your pension, your benefits, and all those things are tied to other people. So you don't have as much, leeway. And again, you have to make decisions based on your circumstances and what responsibilities you have. So I think that that's probably different for everybody. But I recently went back to working a job. And so I am always having to take some extra deep breaths when there are people doing things that I'm just like, all right now, all right now, because I will make an exit in a moment. It doesn't really take much, but I'm trying to be mindful that we're in a different climate. I try to keep in mind the reasons why I went back to do something specific and just keeping the end goal in mind and making sure that I stay focused on why I'm there and getting what I came for. So, what about you, Skills?
For me, I use that old baseball rule: three strikes, you're out. And it's really just that simple for me. And I don't waver with that. I don't budge with that. If it happens a third time, that's it. Because I made it very clear the first time you said something that was disrespectful, or the first time you did something to me that I didn't like. I made it very clear by putting it in writing or by telling you directly to your face, like, hey, I understand what the point is that you were trying to make, but the way you brought that across to me was disrespectful. So I need you to check that. And if you ever bring it to me like that again, it's going to be an issue, because I don't deserve that. You are better than that. You can figure out a different way to navigate that conversation about telling me what needs to be done or telling me, what your expectation is or whatever. I'm very clear, definitely when it comes to work relationships, because I feel like me accepting anything less than what I'm worth in a work relationship, then I'm being paid for my silence. Because
Mm.
that's the way it used to be when I was younger. I used to not say anything and let whatever happen happen, and just to keep that paycheck rolling in, I'd be like, all right, they can say whatever they want to say or treat me however they want to treat me. But now at this seasoned age, man, listen. And I know my worth. I know that I can do my own and start my own and have my own and all that because I've done that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because I know me and I know the level that it'll, after that third strike, I know the level that it'll go to. And it's going to come to a level that's going to be so disrespectful that what'll happen is, like Q was talking about earlier off the call, somebody will end up in cuffs, and it ain't going to be me. I'm not going to
So,
start that.
so then still, so wait a minute, still, you gonna get violent at work? You gonna flex it
Listen,
off?
if somebody
Gosh.
disrespect me, if that boss disrespects me,
Chi-town.
absolutely, absolutely. He will.
You,
That will
you
be the last.
absolutely.
That will be the last person that he ever disrespects in that way. It will end with me. Trust. So it's
And
like that.
still. I love it.
because
I love it. I
yeah,
love
it don't
Reginald Gooding. Reginald Gooding is who I've been waiting on.
take.
I think
Yeah, it
Reginald
don't take.
Gooding is miles if he go.
Yeah, it don't take.
Okay.
Don't take.
Well, I feel that, Skills. I like, because I knew you were going to say that. I could have told you what you was going to say. I said, Skills don't get no. Skills like, nah, you mess up one, twice, three times, you out of here. For me, I agree with what everybody's saying. When I was younger, Skills, when I see the good thing about being an entrepreneur is for the last 50 years, I work for myself. Now, I still have clients, and believe it or not, in this climate, I have a lot of clients who politically feel differently than me. But I still work with them. We still, I just avoid certain conversations when it comes to that. I mean, let's not talk about that because I want to maintain what we have without it being
Mm,
clouded by other things. When I was younger, I will say though, yes, I like Skills, I dealt with a lot. Like just being in a situation where I needed the funds, had a lot going on. I think, like what Harmony said though, is it was about my end goal. I've been disrespected at work, and I was not fine with it. But like what you said, Harmony, I knew that if I had an end goal, right? And I tell the kids I work with this, there are going to be things that are going to challenge that. You have to make a decision. Is it worth it for me to snap or to go off now, or do I wait until I'm ready to leave? I already know that this isn't the end all be all. I already know that I don't really rock with these people. I'm here to get to the next goal. That's it. And I know that once I reach that goal, I'm going to walk away proudly and not have to worry about it. So I can smile in your face, call me Two-Face if you want. I'm Mr. Hi, hey, Chad, how you been, buddy? Applebee's for lunch? No, I'm not going, but have fun type thing. I can play that role. I can code switch. Chad's my boy. We're going to hang out. But when I leave, F you, Chad. You the reason I left. I didn't want to go to lunch with you anyway. But just saying, like, I feel like the workplace is tricky because the place I was in, it was like a clique. I didn't want to go to lunch sometimes with people, and they got offended by that. They would get mad. It's like, I know you're trying to make it everything because you guys are going to be here forever. I don't plan on being here forever. But let me play the role. Let me go have lunch with Chad and the crew and all that. But at the end of the day, it's about what I learned in college was that I was either going to get out and look for that job or I was going to get out and I was going to create that job. And like all of us entrepreneurs on this line, I was more of the creative job person. I tried to work for people and with people. And that's kind of when I knew, man, I just couldn't do it. The amount of credit that I did not get for the hard work I was putting in. Let me know, corporate America is not for me. If I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to work this hard for myself. So I
right.
didn't let it bother me what was going on at the workplace because I wasn't stuck there. But I always knew no matter where I worked, I'm not going to be here long. I hate to say that, but I kind of knew that based on none of it was fulfilling. Those people were terrible. I know I wasn't going to be there with them long. So I was able to suck it up, internalize it, and look at my goals. But I do think it's different. Everybody's threshold, people's timing is different. Some people can take a little disrespect for the money. Some people like skills. You're going to slap behind the boss, and everybody going to jail. So you decide. Which one are you? That's all I'm asked. Which one are you?
Hey, find out.
Right. That's right. FAFO. Not with skills, but not with that
Find-
green hat on. I'll grease you up. It ain't even Christmas, but I'll grease you up.
hey,
You're a Girl Scout cookies.
right.
I hit you with these thin mints.
So let's keep it moving. So I have a similar question for you guys, but only mine is pertaining to family. So
Mm,
those boundaries around that same relationship, because I find it just in my knowledge and I watch the way people move, people will be quicker to cut off family than they will somebody at work, or quicker to cut
Mm.
off family than they will somebody in that relationship. So what about, when a family gets disrespectful to you, or when a family does something that you're not happy with, and how do you navigate that? And are you quicker to cut the family off, or do you give them more chances than you do the boss at work, or the coworker, or the loved one that then fell in love with?
Harmony, what you think? Family?
uh, for me, I'm gonna say I've been blessed and highly favored when it comes to, family drama, family issues. Don't really have a lot of experience with that. However, I seem to be the house where everybody who has that issue decides to come to my house after the fact. So I hear about all the stories and, all the things. And this is from both of my kids' friends ending up over here, my friends
Mm.
ending up over here, and just all the things. So with me, I've found over the years that it seems like people give, and probably rightfully so, give more grace to their family when it comes to things like that. They can, they might get mad, or they might go off, or they might, you know, have an issue, but they seem to be quicker to reconcile when it's family, or when it's blood related. Um, I'm also an only child, so I really don't have, like, siblings and all that stuff to have these types of issues with. So that's probably another reason why I don't have a lot of, you know, I grew up with a single mom, so it's just me and, her side of the family, and then no siblings. So I think I've just been lucky and blessed in that area. But um I have found that a lot of people tend to forgive and forget a little bit easier when it comes to their family. And, I guess I can understand that, but I also caution it a little bit, because I found through other people's experiences that those people know that, and then they tend to take advantage of it, and the people that you love the most also have the ability to hurt you the most. So I just caution people to, keep in mind that even though people are blood family, it's important to, give them grace, but it's also important to have boundaries for them as well, because oftentimes, certain type of people, whether they're narcissists or manipulators or things of that nature, they will take advantage of your kindness and mistake it for weakness, family or not. So I would just tell everybody to be cautious and make sure you have some boundaries for your family as well. What
Yeah, I
about you,
agree.
Q?
Yeah, I agree. I can second that. I feel like it depends on the type of family you come from. Um, for me, it's the same thing. I give grace. I try to give grace and mercy, and I've made enough mistakes in my life to understand if someone makes a mistake and you can own it. And that goes with anybody. If you graciously, humbly say to somebody, you know what, I'm sorry, I messed up, it won't happen again, and you sincerely don't let it happen again, that person sees that you're genuine and you meant what you said. Unfortunately, I think family, I'll give you an example. I had a cousin of mine. I'm down here going to college, right? I'm probably my sophomore year. My mother calls me and says, hey, um, you have to come home uh, to Seattle and go to court for a ticket. And I go, well, I wasn't home. I don't have a ticket. They're like, but your cousin used your, he knew my social security. He knew my birthday and my address. He didn't give the police my information.
Ooh,
Not only did he do this to me, though, he did this to
yikes.
several cousins. Yeah. Sometimes it depends on your family. You know, unfortunately, stuff like that is irreparable. And after he's done it to probably three of us, and all my cousins have gone through the same thing. They have to go down, clear their name, bring their ID, prove where they were. That cousin, he's put. We've
Right.
already kind of I won't say cut him off, because he'll hit me up. I'll still communicate. I'm not, life turned out great. I'm not angry, but the stuff that he did back when I was younger, you can't, it's hard to just forgive that. I can
Yeah.
forget. I mean, I won't forget it, and I won't really forgive it. I'm not going to bring it up, and I'm not holding it against you, but I'm never going to trust you, and we're never going to be close. It's sad to say. I hate that, but that's just one example. If it gets to that point where family is willing to throw you, throw you off the bus while it's going 50 miles per hour on 35, that's basically what he did. Because had I not taken care of that situation, I would have a warrant for my arrest. Which I think,
Right.
Right.
stuff like that, that's just, it's no excuse for it. And I'm sad that my cousin and I, who I grew up with, now have this weird relationship that I never would have saw coming when I was little, because we were tight. So, yeah, I had to cut him off. So sorry for your loss.
Well, for
What about
for
you,
me,
Skills?
for me, I take much more offense to it when it's family. Any type of issue or any type. So I would probably say that I'm a little bit shorter now. Mind you, I know that that family isn't going anywhere because they're family. You know what I mean? And we're stuck. We were born into that, so there's no way around that. So they'll still be in my life, but I do have to set those boundaries just like I would in any other relationship for those family members. But it hits me harder because I'm just always in shock when family does you wrong, or when family, you have to cut family off, or when you have to set those boundaries for family. And I think I take that a lot more personal than some random person that, didn't grow up with me and don't know me. And don't, you know what I mean? I take more offense to it when family does it, because it's just like, wow, like we come from the same cloth. Like, we literally from the same gene pool. We literally got the same DNA running through us. And this is what you do to me, and this is how you treat me. You're able to do me like that. And it's people on the
Right.
street that treat me better than you. So I do take offense to it a little bit more when I run into issues like that with family, or it's something that I have to, create one of those boundaries for family. But I will say this, though. It is just as important, just as needed and necessary to set the boundaries for family as it is for anybody else. Because of that reason, because family can do more damage to you, like Harmony said, do more damage to you because they are closer to you. They do know you. They did grow up with you. So they know, your movements. They know things about you that the rando doesn't know. You know what I mean? So they're able to, like you said, Q, that cousin probably did that because he was like, oh, he all the way in Atlanta. They ain't gonna get him. They ain't getting me today. Like, let me give his information because he in a whole nother state. I ain't worried about him. You know what I mean? Who knows what his thought process was, the reason why he chose to use family members to do that. But nonetheless, like you said, that boundary needed to be set. And, there needed to be some repercussions behind that as to losing family and no family dealing with him, because otherwise it was going to continue to happen. I'm a firm believer in that. If you don't hold people accountable for their actions and hold them accountable for what they do, that cycle continues over and over and over again. And who knows, the next time it might have ended up with, Q in handcuffs and he all on a movie set with kids, and they come to pick him up and he don't even know why. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Who knows? Yeah.
if you don't set those boundaries, it's your fault at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get mad at that cousin no more because y'all know what he did. Y'all know what he's capable of, and you knew what he was going to do if you allowed it to keep happening. So if you don't hold him to the fire like anybody else should be held to the fire, what you expect is going to happen.
Same thing.
So same thing.
That's
So I mean,
that's right. Good.
that's my big thing. So, like, you got to hold people accountable, and family is not exempt from that. Like, you got to set them boundaries for family just like you would anybody else.
I agree.
Absolutely. Well, our seasoned family, if this topic resonates with you, if this is a conversation that you need to have with your friends, your loved ones, your co-workers, your significant others, have the conversation. Let us know what you think. Share your comments. We love to hear your thoughts, your experiences. Tell us all about it. We're going to jump into a quick little segment before we get out of here. One of our favorites, since we have one of the OGs back in the building, we're
Oh,
going to
gee.
do When the Street Lights Come On. So we're going to let Sir Skills kick us off.
All right, well, Q, I got to know this one from you. Like, this really, I did this one just for you. When was the last time that you can remember? Because we all know at this age, we all know when the street lights came on, we had something to do and somewhere to be and somewhere we needed to be by the time them street lights came on, right?
That's right.
So, Q, when was the last time that you can remember either getting a spanking or getting punished for something that you did, and why was that?
Man, listen. My mom, here's the thing. Like my mom was. She would tell everybody. She would say, he did this, he did that. Like, as an adult, she would meet people and she would retell stories that I did when I was little, very embarrassing stuff. I would say this. When I was in fifth grade, this is the last major whooping that I remember. I'm sure after then I probably had one or two more. My mom told me that from the age of like 5 until I was probably like 8, she said she whooped me every day. She said I was bad. I was just into stuff. She said she probably had to whoop me or spank me almost every day.
Mm,
Just,
mm,
just energy. They wanted to put me on Ritalin. My mom's like, no,
mm.
we're not going to let you put him on Ritalin because there's nothing wrong with him. You just need a little bit and you need to sit down somewhere. Their answer was put them on medication because I guess that's not new for America. It gets you on drugs, get you up out of these pills. And that's
That's
Right.
unfortunate.
right.
Which why some of our kids now, instead of other types of therapy, we went right for the drugs. Let's get them on the ADHD medication. Let's get them on this. Instead of looking at his diet and getting rid of the McDonald's and chicken nuggets that's messing up his brain, we just gonna put him on medication. And that's why my mom didn't want to do that. She had every right to, though. Every right. Um, I'll say that when I was in fifth grade, my cousin Darrell and I jumped off the bus to go watch a fight. Okay, we're riding the bus home. There's a bunch of kids in my neighborhood. They all live in the same neighborhood. And one of the kids from our school is going to fight another kid. We wanted to see it. So we jumped off the bus, right? Didn't think anything of it. Got off the bus, watched the fight. Fight was great. Our boy won. Da, da, da. So we was excited. So we took the Metro bus home. Unbeknownst to us, some of our friends who lived underneath us, because we was in a duplex, I was upstairs, downstairs, why they gonna knock on the door and ask, "Are we home yet?" And my mom was like, "Why? Why? How would you're here and they're not? How would they be home?" And they told my mom that we got off the bus to go watch a fight. So we
Mm.
got 100 licks each.
Wow.
100 licks for
Wow.
getting off the bus. I mean, it was kind of stupid. We were supposed to do that. Supposed to tell them. I don't even know how the bus driver let us off the bus. Really, mom, it's the bus driver's fault. You need to beat her up.
He was like,
So,
get them out of here.
yeah, and so we got 100 licks each that day. And I'll
Ooh-wee.
never forget that. Huh?
I
It was
said,
100.
ooh-wee.
100. A solid 100. And I think I went
Did,
first. So I got the
did
worst
they
because
make
I was the oldest. So her arm winning time. She was fresh.
did they make you count?
Say what still?
Did they make you count them
What is
out?
that?
Did you
You
hear me?
out of here.
I
I
didn't
said
hear him either.
I said, did they make you count them out? Did they make you
No,
count out the
she was
100?
cutting them out. It's okay. I got my 100, and then my cousin took his 100, and we went downstairs and beat up the kids who were paying and knocked on the door. Because they
You
wasn't supposed to
snitched
do
on him.
that. They snitched on me. But I say that to say, yes, in my younger years, I'm so glad and I'm so proud. You know, if you're a woman raising three boys, my cousins were over my house, somebody had to get a whooping. I don't think it
For
would have
sure.
been possible back in the 70s and 80s with three, four young men to keep us out of trouble and keep us from really being in the system without a whooping or two. I mean, I know soft parenting is a thing, and I understand sometimes you got to talk to the kids. But what I will say is I've noticed a learning curve that happens with the talking. I was at a point where we wanted to get whoopings because my mom would put us on punishment. And I was like, I don't want to be on punishment. I want to whoop it because I need to go outside and live my best life. Mama, whoop me. Here's the belt. Here's my naked booty. Whoop me. Press the belt and everything. I'll get in the tub if you want. Whoop me. And I got a lot of whoopings. I just say, but I'm thankful for now looking back, I'm thankful for every single one of them. Wouldn't
Good
change it.
stuff. Good stuff.
What
That's
about
right.
you? And what about you,
Well,
Mona?
I'm going to be easy breezy, lemon squeezy.
She's gonna say, I never had a whooping. I never got spanked.
I
And
mean, I
uh,
didn't. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but even though I had an island mom, I'm not saying that I was perfect by any means. I'm not saying that
yes,
I
you
was an
did.
angel. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, I just, she wasn't dishing out whoopings. I don't know, I don't know. She wasn't dishing out whoopings and I wasn't taking them. I mean, I got in trouble, but I didn't really get any
You've
whoopings. It
never
wasn't
had a spanking?
not from my mama.
God.
Not from
Wait a
my
minute.
mama.
Oh, not from your mama. Okay, wait a minute. I just got that. Okay.
You
Sorry.
so slow.
Oh, got skills. You got it now. Not from my mama.
Hey, hey, we
The hands
seasoned
were
over
much
here.
larger that spanked me.
We seasoned
I'm
over
just
here.
saying.
We
See,
seasoned over here. We can get those.
we driven out spankings.
Hey,
Correct. Now
hey,
ask about that. That's a different show for a different time. All
Okay.
right.
All right,
Skills. What about you, sir?
so for me, mine was real quick and easy, and it was pretty rough because, and to this day, I still owe my cousin another apology. My cousin Lester, I'm sorry, cuz like we used to take the cans, the tops of the cans to anything pretty much, a can of beans or a can of Cheetos or whatever it was that we had a can to, we would use those as Chinese stars. We couldn't afford our own Chinese stars and we wanted to be ninjas. So we would take the tops of the cans and throw them because, they were sharp and they would stick into the tree. They would stick into something. Well, I threw one in the air and it just happened to come down and land on my cousin Lester's eye.
Oh,
And yeah, 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 he still has a scar to this day behind that cut for his eye. You know what I mean? And I apologize because he knows he wasn't upset with me because he knew we were both playing and he knew it was an accident. He looked up at the wrong time and it landed right over his eye. And the thing was, and they were just like, you could have put his eye out. He could have been with one eye for the rest of his life. And so yeah, that was mine. It was rough. Sorry, cuz I love you.
but did you get
And
a whooping? Did you get a whooping?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what. Yeah, yeah.
You got to
It,
show up. Okay. Okay.
yeah, it was. Oh,
You needed
that was
one.
mine. Yeah, yeah, I deserve one for it. It was, it was, but it wasn't intentional. I didn't throw it directly at him. You know what I mean? It just happened to.
Yeah,
it was a
Yeah,
oops. It was a oops.
it was, but it was
that
a
was
oop.
that was
It was
forgivable.
a oops. It was a oops that caused me to
Well,
get
look,
a.
guys, I know we have held you guys long enough today, but we wanted to make sure that we had time to spend with our favorite comedian, actor, business man, Morehouse grad, the one and only QB in the building. So y'all show some
Yeah.
love. Make sure y'all let
Yeah.
us know your thoughts about tonight's show. Make sure you like the page. Make sure you comment on what we talked about. Make sure you share it with somebody who needs to hear the conversation. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. And by all means, whatever you do, don't forget to stay seasoned.
Peace.
Y'all have a great night.
Peace.
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 Deuces.